I can't stress enough investing in other people. So I'll go off on a tangent here with Lynn. So Lynn is my general manager. She does everything for me. She didn't do everything for me in the beginning. And I put time and effort into her, and I let her make her mistakes. And she, I just looked, and we have, for the last 30 days, we now have 100% 5-star rating.
Hello and welcome to the Wholesale Made Easy podcast, where we believe selling on Amazon shouldn't be hard, and we're going to prove it. My name is Dylan Carter, and I'm one of the co-founders at VinDrive, a tool that helps Amazon wholesale sellers streamline their businesses, stay organized, and land more profitable accounts. I'm sitting down with other successful wholesale sellers, and together we're sharing lessons learned and what it really takes to succeed with wholesale. God, man, talk about learning so much. I feel like the pace of being an Amazon seller has completely changed from when I got started. I mean, it was so, I hate to use the word dull, but there was not much evolution happening as there is now. I mean, now you have bundling taking off. PPC is starting to heat up way more, especially when it comes to wholesale. Listing optimization is becoming more of a requirement, less of a, yeah, if you know how to do it, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's the bar is being raised very quickly. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I mean, I also think that it's the education. I mean, people are just YouTube channels and the Facebook groups and
everywhere.
There's a video for everything now. There's a course for everything. If you don't know how to do something, it's because you didn't figure out how to find the answer to what you look, right? Like, you just have to keep looking, you'll find the answer. So I think a lot of it is on you, right? Mm-hmm. How quickly you want to grow, how quickly you want to learn is all on you.
Yeah, it's really like how resourceful you are. Because I mean, look, tools are getting cheaper. Knowledge is completely free, so you don't need these expensive courses anymore, because I promise you there's a blog post somewhere that goes more in depth than that does. And the whole, well, we have a community behind it. There's plenty of those that are for free. And high quality ones too, right? It's not just you jump into this wild west Facebook group that's not moderated. I mean, those days are relatively gone. There's still a few, but the majority of them, it's still like, hey, don't come in here spamming. Don't, I'm going to give you an answer, but I'm also going to like educate you at the same time and say, hey, here's how you find this. That's huge. And
the other thing I've noticed about your group is that it used to be you answered every question.
Right.
And now when she asks a question, other people are jumping and going, hey, here's the answer, here's the answer, here's the answer. And then, like, I started to notice that when you were doing your live sourcing videos, is somebody would post a question, 6 comments deep. Yep. And by the time you actually got to that question, 3 other people had already answered it. And you were like, oh, yeah, okay, Andrew answered that one. Oh, yep, Jenna's got that. Right? Oh, Jill jumped on that one. Thanks, Scott. Yeah. Okay, what am I doing here? Right?
No, and it's perfect because that's what I wanted, right? Because when we started the Facebook group and even the podcast and all this stuff, the point was not to be considered a guru or this like expert, right? It was just like, hey, let's bring this in. Let's make it clear. Let's organize this information. So it's not so distributed because it's already out there and it's free, but it's not like it's too distributed, right? So let's consolidate it. Let's make it more clear, easy to follow. And that was the point. And I was hoping that at some point the group would grow to a point where it's doing what it's doing now, where other people are answering the questions. It's not about me, right? It's not like, what would Dylan say? It's no, what's the right answer? And
all your little minions.
You're right. Exactly. But even so yesterday I couldn't do the Facebook Live sourcing because my brother graduated high school. So I was like, well, I still want us to do that. And Jill was like, hey, I know how to source. I'll do it. I'm like, perfect. Go for it. And I was going through it, this morning. I was like, no, there's like 30, 40 questions. She did a great job. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like, this is the point, right? And what's great, and this is something that I've learned about learning, is when you teach something, you learn it even further. So when Jill was like, hey, I kind of want to do this, I'm like, yes, because it's also going to help you a ton because you're going to have to explain it to things. So when you go to hire somebody, you've already taught this before. That's huge.
Speaking of, so you know that I've outsourced. So I basically outsourced my entire Amazon business.
Which I'm kind of geeking out about because it's really cool.
So Lynn Carter is my general manager now. She does all my fulfillment. She's now sourcing for me. She's my inventory man. I mean, she is crushing it. So I'm actually starting a third business because why not? You know,
I gotta
find
for sure.
something else to do with my time. So I'm starting a third business, and I'm going to need your help because I'm going to be doing videos and I'm going to be teaching teaching some knowledge, and I'm very excited about that. So
that's cool. Well, let's sit on that. Because I know when we first kind of talked about it, it's cool because I've watched you go through a few little shifts, which is kind of fun. Because like I get to see it from a different perspective because it's shifts I went through myself, and it's so awkward when it's you. But when you see it through somebody else and you kind of just went through that shift, you're like, I get what you're talking about. I get what you're going through. Walk me through the decision to start a new business and why automate the wholesale business.
So automating the wholesale business. So I can't stress enough investing in other people. So I'll go off on a tangent here with Lynn. So Lynn is my general manager. She does everything for me. She didn't do everything for me in the beginning. And I put time and effort into her, and I let her make her mistakes. And she, I just looked, and we have, for the last 30 days, we now have 100% 5-star rating. Like in 30 days, not one person has given me 4 stars or below. Like
that's awesome.
That's from Lynn. That's also Lynn. She treats my business like it's her business, and that's because I would train her, and then I'd let her do some things on her own, and then I'd train her, and then so she could start her own business right now, and it's such an amazing feeling because now I'm helping her. I mean, she's using this business to completely get out of debt, and she's going to be debt free in a month. Like, she's so excited. I'm so excited to watch her do this. And now she has so many skills. She has people that are reaching out to her to help her. Like, she's helping create listings and helping doing like some of the things some of these Amazon sellers may not know how to do or may not have time to do. And so she's evolving. And as she's evolving, my business is just moving right up. And I'm just so proud to watch, this whole thing just take off because she's doing such an amazing job. And so I thought, well, now what? Right. Because
I'm not needed anymore.
I'm not needed anymore. I don't get a ton of fulfillment out of watching, my whatever grocery products sell.
Right.
And, when I check the Amazon seller app, it's cool, but it's not like the most gratifying thing in the world. But when I watch Lynn just pump out sale, she's finding new products and she's creating all these listings. She created 15 listings in a day for me. Like,
that's insane.
Oh God. I can do that.
Yeah. That's going ham.
And I'm watching her and she loves to do it. And so I want to find what's my next thing. And Dylan, people come to me all the time and they say, I'm just tired. I'm just tired all the time. Like, why do I get sick all the time? Why do I have terrible allergies? Like, I'm constantly blowing my nose. Like, why do I always have a cough? Why, when I get a cold, does it take me a month to get over it? Why? And so I put together a framework, a step-by-step framework that shows people why they have no energy, why they're always getting sick, why their allergies are just outrageous, because I've been there, right? Like 5 years ago, I was in that spot and I had a very large health issue that I had to make a huge diet change. And in the process of doing it for that medical reason, my allergies went away, my energy went through the roof, my skin cleared up, I lost 15 pounds, I started sleeping like a rock, like I had this energy like you wouldn't believe, just everything, all the symptoms in my body went away. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I tell my friends all the time, I tell my family, like, you have no idea that it's actually the food that you're putting in your body that's making you feel the way you feel. And they're like, oh, I know, I don't drink enough. I need to get through the day. I'm like, no, coffee is a reason that you have no energy. And they're like, what? Right. But nobody ever teaches this because there's no money in teaching you that you can heal yourself and feel amazing if you eat tomatoes. Like nobody's teaching that.
Right.
And so I'm creating a new business and it's so, just in talking to people, they're like, please please tell me when it comes out. Like, I need that in my life. And the people, my friends and family that have taken the recommendation that I've done, they're all losing weight and they feel so good and they're not getting sick. And I'm just like, okay, the world needs to know this. So thank you, Lynn, for taking over this business so that then I can go do the next one. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the motivation was behind that.
And what's so crazy is that's kind of the same thing I went through with VinDrive and Aura. You find that you're helping people and you find a purpose in that, and you can't shake it. Once you have that little spark, it's never going to go away. It's not going to like stop percolating in your mind, right? You have to solve it. You have to do more of it. And it's different. But the cool thing is, and this is not like, get away from Amazon, but think about it from this perspective. Ryan Daniel Moran talks a lot about this, using a cash flow business, which, by the way, wholesale Amazon businesses are cash flow businesses, to enable you and to fund the exponential business. Right? So, and this is, everybody's just lost their mind because Dylan just said, hey, it's not all about Amazon, period. But think about this. There's different ways you can approach and utilize this business model to enable you to do something bigger. And I've said this before.
Why are you doing this? What are
exactly.
You doing?
And I've said this before. It's not that I don't like other business models. There's pros and cons to each one. If you want to get into private label, the best thing you could probably do, in my opinion, which is very humble, start a wholesale cash flow business, because now you have cash flow. And then from that cash flow, fund and launch a private label brand. Or go buy one.
In the world, if you have a bad product.
Yeah, because if you lose $5,000 on that, whatever, you still have the cash flow business. You'll have another $5,000 in a few months. So it doesn't matter, right? And it's cool that you got to that point, because I feel like a lot of people don't, right? You get to, and you hear about this all the time, I'm successful and this just kind of sucks. And like, I don't really care, which a lot of people who never get to that point don't understand. They're like, you have everything that I think I want. Why are you saying this? Well, there's probably something missing. So if you can figure out what that is, I mean, like, there was a difference in your emotions and your tone when you were talking about that purpose. Completely different, right? There's no pauses in your speech. You're just on point. You're like, no, I know what this is. And I feel that innately. When you have that, it's pretty cool. So I'm glad you got to that point.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really neat. Walk me through, like, I kind of, I want to jump back into this. How did you go about automating the Amazon business? Because a lot of people get stuck with a few things, and a few things that I definitely want to touch on is the scarcity of, if I teach somebody my whole business and they run it, what if they just go start their own? Which my opinion is they probably won't. And if they do, whatever. And two, getting that first hire, like structuring it. Like, I mean, you really do, from my perspective, have to kind of go top down on that and think, like, what does this look like? But how did you approach it?
So, well, the thing is that I hired Lynn when I was still learning Amazon myself, right? So we kind of learned together, but so Lynn will be amazing if she ever decides that she wants to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
But when she sees me and I go to my, grocery distributor and I tell her, oh yeah, we spent $5,300 at, XYZ distributors today. And she goes, what? And like, just see, like, it's not even her money. And she's like, right. How do you spend $5,300? And for me, I'm like, I'm totally fine with the risk. The first time I placed my first $1,000 order, I was like, okay. Right. And I did it and it worked. And then, the next time was my $2,000 order and then my $5,000 order and it just built. But so I went to a business conference and they teach that there are 3 different kinds of workers, I guess we'll call it.
Sure.
So there's the entrepreneurs, there's the talent, and there's the managers, right? So the talent is the person that is really good at painting the art or doing the skill, whatever it is.
Like the technician from like eMyth, right? Okay.
So good at this skill.
Right.
Right. And then the manager is really good at running the day-to-day, at making sure all the details are covered, that we never run out of inventory. We got logistics. We got the right people on the right seat on the right bus and right.
Today's episode is brought to you by GoAura.com, our AI-based repricing tool. If you're ready to take your sales to the next level, repricing is the way to go. No more manually adjusting your prices each day. Let our AI actually do the heavy lifting for you. And if you're sick of repricing tools dropping their activity and leaving you in the dark, Aura can help. With smart repricing strategies, an optimized platform, and instant repricing, Aura both reprices faster and holds the buy box for 65% more time than competing repricers. If you're ready to experience repricing reimagined, head over to GoAura.com to start your 14-day free trial.
And then there's the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is usually, not always, but usually not as detail oriented. They're much more big picture. They're much more, pie in the sky, much more open to risk, right? Usually the managers and the talent are not as risky, right? They just, they want to be more comfortable. They want to know, I know what my job is going to be. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go home, and I know my paycheck's coming that week, right? The entrepreneur, who knows if we're getting paid,
right?
And then 3 weeks later we get a ridiculous check, right? And so when I learned that, I realized that there are 3 different kinds of people, and you're usually going to stay in what you're good at. And if you try to be an entrepreneur, but you're really at your core, you're really the talent, you try to be an entrepreneur, you're probably going to fail, right? So with Lynn, I've asked her, what do you think? Personally, I think Lynn is the most amazing manager you could ever have. And I'm not going to tell you her last name so that nobody ever steals it from me. She is unbelievable, but I don't know that she would love to be the entrepreneur, but she can take my business and grow it. And as my business grows, I can pay her, right? So everybody hears, oh, I want to be the entrepreneur so that I can make all the money. Well, you can make money as a manager if you're bringing more value to the brand, right? You can get nice size bonuses, and you can get, there's incentives, right? So for Lynn, I didn't have the fear, because if she decides that she wants to go be an entrepreneur someday and she wants to open up her own Amazon shop, I will be in complete support of her. I will fund her. I will help her. I will put up a bunch of capital because I know she's going to succeed. I know she will just take off. And I'd be bummed that I lost her, but I'll try and find somebody else. I know I would. They'll never be Lynn, but I don't have this ridiculous fear that's going to happen, because I think that she's in the right seat. I think that managing is what she's amazing at and what she enjoys. And if she wants to take a different seat, by all means, I will help her. I'll fund her. I'll do all those things. But I don't think that that's where we're at. And I think it's important when you're interviewing somebody to try and get a good feel for where is their core? Where do they want to be? What do they enjoy? And so outsourcing it was very easy for me, because I would give her just a little bit, and then she would run with it. And sometimes she would do it, and then I'd go, oh wait, let's course correct a little bit, and then she just take off, right? And she was really good at taking direction, and it's all about like the positive reinforcement, like, hey, you did an awesome job on this. There's one little thing we could tweak, but man, you're crushing it on this, and people feel good about that, and then they develop. And it's been neat. It's like I'm a mom, and it's like watching, little baby Lynn develop into this amazing. I mean, I say it all the time. She's better at this Amazon business than I am now.
And that's what you want. Like, how cool is that? I know that sounds counterintuitive, but like, how long has Lynn been with you?
I think August or September of last year.
Okay. So, so think about that from a time standpoint. A lot of people are going, how do I find a Lynn right now? You're not. You're going to find baby Lynn right now. And then you're going to help course correct and iteratively make that person better, so that by, a year later, they are running the show, because they do know more than you, because they're that technician, that talent, or that manager, and they just love that aspect of it. And it frees you up to focus on, the next things. I always talk about, when you're getting started, the biggest problem is you don't have enough profitable inventory to purchase, and you have some or maybe even a lot of capital. So your problems are just figuring out how to source inventory. But once you get that figured out, now the new problem is capital. Well, if you can get the operations day to day taken care of, and let's say you do want to go, you want to, you want to get to like, let's say 10 million in annual revenue. Well, now you can full time go raise money. You can figure out those next steps, right? And be free to do so.
Let me tell you the other reason why it was so important. I didn't know it at the time. I waited way too long to outsource my prep. And so what I didn't realize is when I was in the store or talking to a wholesaler, I was picky about what products I wanted to buy because I didn't want to buy a lot of glass products because I was like, oh, that's going to be a pain.
Right.
Like, I want to do bubble wrap. Like, no, the profit doesn't look that good on it, right?
Yeah.
And there were products that just in the back of your mind, because you knew, like, I was prepping products in front of the TV with my husband at night. Like, I don't want to prep that. No, we'll move on to this thing. And once I outsourced it, it really helped me expand my mindset that I wasn't dreading prepping every day.
Yeah, because you kind of shift from being a business owner who owns a job to really being a business owner. And so it's less about, well, I really don't want to do that. And it's not like, oh, somebody else has to do that. That sucks for them. It's just, they might not even care. Like, She might have no qualms about prepping glass. She's probably like, I don't care either which way.
She's amazing at it. She like tries different techniques and like has little contests with herself. Like, I was able to do this many in a minute. And if I do this and I spin it around, I put it on the tape dispenser and I spin it, then I can do it fast. I'm like, oh, what? Like,
that's so cool. That makes me so happy.
Like, she's having a blast out there doing that. And that's how you know you found the right person. But
that's so cool. And something I've been wanting a warehouse for so long at this point, because I've been obsessively learning about lean manufacturing and how it breaks down into different aspects, especially with what we do. That's why I was like, yo, I want to come down where you are and hang out with you. Cause like, there's so much cool stuff like lean manufacturing, right? It's like, reducing waste and movements and materials, like just across the board, just making things so easy. And it's not just like making your employees or yourself, if you're doing it, a robot. It's just making the task so easy that it's just like not a big deal. But like you're outputting so much more, but it's easier work. It's such a cool concept.
Right.
I'm like geeking out with it. There's a guy in the States. He runs, I think it's called Fast Snap, something like that. He's like a complete nerd about it, which is cool, but he's got tons of books. I think it's Paul Akers, 2-Second Lean. Yeah. It's all on YouTube, the audiobooks, and they're free. But it's such a cool concept. So I'm going to try and maybe get him on the podcast, because that would be fun. That would be pretty cool.
Well, but in a couple weeks, I've got so we just installed an AC system in my garage/warehouse, because I'm in Tampa, Florida. I mean, it gets hot out there, so I can't.
In Jacksonville, it is terrible right now.
So we spent $4,500 on an AC unit so that we can.
Worth it. It's so worth it.
We got to insulate and frame it all, so that's going to be another $1,500. So they're coming in a couple weeks. So if you want, we're going to have to reorganize the whole thing and re-snap it and all that. So if you want to put down, help us figure out how to make it lean.
I'm totally going to have to, because I'm probably the only person who's like, yeah, that sounds kind of awesome.
Such a nerd.
I swear I could do that as a full-time job. Be like, let me come to your warehouse and, optimize it, because that's apparently what nerds do. But yeah, so just a recap, because we went over a lot of stuff. There's a lot of changes in evolution happening right now for sellers. All good stuff, right? Whether they go through or not right now, I can promise you they're probably going to. I mean, the likelihood, so I know when the whole vendor thing fiasco that blew up, and then a day later they rolled it back. They might roll this back. We don't know. But I guarantee you, because they've done this twice now, it's going to happen. We might not know when, but it will. And so just get ready for that. It's a huge open sea of potential suppliers that are about to open up, that are looking for professional companies, not Amazon sellers, but companies to partner with that will take care of them, that know the ins and outs, that aren't afraid to jump on the phone, that aren't afraid to potentially fly out and have a meeting if it makes sense. By the way, you can totally meet your suppliers in person. That's totally feasible. And it's a huge opportunity that I'm sorry, little rant, but it's so funny how you always hear like, it's not as easy as it used to be, or it's too competitive now, all these things. And then something like this happens and you're like, not at all the case. It's so good right now. And it's only getting better. If you're a real business owner, it's about to probably get easier, to be honest. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
I'm excited that I got in when I did.
Yeah, right. Now it's like, if only like 5 years before, because that kind of would have been cool. But yeah, it's so much to look forward to. Technology is really starting to come more into the space, which is going to decrease costs dramatically, increase efficiencies, automations. That's what I'm excited about. When two people can run a $10 million Amazon physical products business, get ready for that, because that's absolutely feasible in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. We need like a convention or like a conference just on the future of Amazon, because I'm telling you, you can spend an entire week talking about the nuances of it. So before we kind of cut things out, anything last comments for the listeners?
No, just keep on going. It's such a, like, I just wish that I could give some, there's so many people that have this uncertainty, like, oh, I wonder if it works. I just wish everybody had the certainty that I have. Like, I know for a fact that this works. And if it's not working for you, it's because you didn't figure it out yet. And you get the choice. You can either quit and be one of the other 90% of sellers that quit every year, or you could be that 10% and go, you know what? Dylan and Jenna both said that this actually works. So it's working for them. Like, why? What do I got to do? I guess I'm going to try. I'm going to submit one more ticket. I'm going to try another one. I'm going to figure it out, because my gosh, I look at all the different avenues, I remember getting so frustrated, like, oh, where do I source? Where do I find good products? How do I find, and now, like, I'm at the point where you could find products everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Yeah. But you don't see it in the beginning because you have gone through that progression. But I promise you, when you get over that hump and you just start to see the opportunity everywhere you look, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Why would anybody not want to do this business?
And it'll click.
Just encourage you, like, just don't be one of the 90% that just give when it gets a little bit hard. When it gets hard, that's when all the other sellers quit. And if you'll just push on, my goodness, it's so worth it. Just keep on.
Yeah, because I mean, again, to what we talked about earlier, this is an infinite game. You at any point you can choose to drop out, or you can continue to play the game. That's it, right? And you'll go through that moment. I guarantee you, this is something I said to you before you went through. I was like, you're going to have a moment where it's going to click. You're going to be like, holy crap, I don't have a problem sourcing anymore. Yep. I remember you called me, you're like, so.
Yeah.
It's only because that's what I went through. And I've seen so many other people go through it. And literally anybody can go through that. But you have to continue to play the game.
Yeah. When I started selling on Amazon, I was a stay-at-home mom already. So, but I was a President's Club winner, sales rep, for a telecom company before. And so I know the money I was making in my Amazon business. If I were doing that job now, I could quit that job making the money that I make now, and I would make more money. So it's been a year and November, a year and a half I've been selling on Amazon. Just keep going. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome.
I'm telling you, give it 2 years. If you can just commit to 2 years, I promise you things will compound and you'll do fantastic. That's it. That's a secret sauce. Laser focus for a long period of time. That is literally the secret sauce to everything, I swear. Yep. All right, Jenna. Thanks. I appreciate it. This was fun. I'm glad we got to do like just a casual conversation. And
absolutely. No agenda, just what's going on.
Not like we don't do this all the time anyways, but like we should record one of these.
That's exactly what it was. We were on the phone. We're like, we should just
right.
record it and see.
Too many ideas. Dylan and Jenna geek out too much, so it works out.
Awesome.
All right, Jenna. Before we leave, I have a huge ask. If you enjoyed this podcast and you got value from it, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. The way we're able to have more impact on more sellers is by getting in front of them. We can do that by having more reviews and getting pushed to the top of iTunes podcast. So leave us a review and let us know what you think of the podcast.